Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, February 10, 2016. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is resolute that this country's seascape must not be a free-for-all that is unregulated. At a press conference on Monday where he dealt with matters pertaining to the unrest at the Canawan beach between the developers and residents, the leader of this country stated that he would be the last person to deny persons access to these beaches. He said that his administration has been formulating seascape regulations, of which this country has some 10,000 nautical square miles. He said this will ensure that there is safety and regulated areas where activities such as skydiving and anchoring would be permitted. Dr. Gonsalves says already some US $250 million has been invested in the facilities on the Grenadine Island, and some US $100 million is expected in returns for this country's maritime sector from these projects.
To use the word on the block, let us all just simmer down. Look, I would be the last person to deny people access to a beach. For what purpose? But I want to see us regulate the situation properly. We're talking about $250 million in the developed area, US investments. We are talking about, well, this doesn't affect the marina area, over $100 million US in the marina and real estate development.
The Prime Minister says Vincentians must show maturity to not lose investments made by foreigners.
Nearly an hour and a half on the phone between when I left Heathrow to where I was staying to persuade the gentleman to talk with Mr. Saladino and to resolve the issues. When they spoke, he called me back. He said, well, you know, it wasn't that bad, you know. Seems as though we are making progress. And many times, I will tell the cabinet, it seems as though this matter is being resolved. I make one step forward and then we go 2 steps backward. And so it went until finally this matter is resolved. We can't now not show the maturity and have this investment scuttled.
Dr. Gonsalves further outlined the need for Vincentians to support the projects and not to be mischievous in their dealings, as these sea regulations in place will ensure that the ocean is protected.
And I'm asking the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including the people of Canawan, to support the orderly arrangements, the regulatory framework, which does not deny anyone the use of that bay, including the swimming or fishing activities. But what it does, it avoids, prevents a free-for-all.
The Director of Maritime Affairs, Commander David Robin, reiterated the need to ensure that the seascape becomes regulated. At Monday's media conference, Commander Robin explained that zoning is part of Section 149 of the Shipping Act for Maritime Safety Information and this country's draft ocean policy. He also explained that the developments are in sync with the blue economy.
And it is pursuant to Section 149 of the Shipping Act, which provides for maritime safety information, including notices to mariners. Zoning, as is articulated in our draft ocean policy has the purpose of seeking orderly development of our space. Having listened to the people in Kanawha and having listened to the developers, there were some things in common. Now the reality is there is a facility built by the developers at Landscape Bay. It is there, it is now built. How best do we benefit from our maritime economy? Now the new language in vogue is the blue economy when we are looking at development and bringing the best benefits.
Commander Robin further expounded that consultations were held with the developers as well as residents of Kanawha on Friday the 9th of January 2016. He pointed out that on Saturday the 10th, the developers complied with the terms to get rid of the floating buoys in the ocean, but only 2 remained that were weighed in the water, which were later removed.
The first action which was taken on the 9th was a letter which I dispatched to their investors, developers, requiring them to remove the buoys. That was on Friday the 9th, and to have that done by Saturday and to confirm to me in writing when that was done. They complied fully with it. 2 buoys only remained. They were at the extreme end of the link of the buoys, and that was because of the practical reason that they had weighted those buoys and strung the others in between them. So for them to respond within the time frame that I had given, they were not able to remove the weights at that time. So they simply cut all of the buoys out of the middle, and those 2 remain to mark the weights so that they can be removed.
And community activist Terry Bino believes that while the people of Kanawha welcome investments on the island, they should not be denied access to the beach areas, whether by land or sea.
The situation arose and the people decided they're not going to stick by things like this anymore. You understand? We don't have to be going by boat all the time to go to a beach that has road to it, because as we have seen what happened with the Grenadians trying to get to Kirko for Carnival, people lost their life. We are not going to do that anymore. We won't be able to do it all the time so that our children could lose their lives as well. They must be accessed by road, because the road has been there long before the investment came in 1990. So there must be public access by road as well for the people of Kanawha. There must be a win-win situation where persons can meet with the investors and the government and discuss how we go about it, because we welcome the investment and they're here to stay.
Bino questioned the free-for-all activities which the Prime Minister spoke of at Monday's media conference, noting that regulated or not, everyone should be allowed to enjoy the beaches of this country.
They say it must not be a free-for-all. Who is all? The public beach belongs to all Vincent, and so what does that mean, a free-for-all? Who is the all we're speaking about? In fact, the beaches are for all persons, whether visitors, locals alike, Vincentians, is for all. If you tell me what, there must be a bit of control where the investment is on a little island like Kanawha, 1,400 persons with an investment. Obviously, if there is the peak season, we wouldn't go and utilize the beach with 200-300 people. You might find 1 or 2 families want to go to a different beach while the tourists is maybe in Kingston area.
The community activist says that a meeting will be held tomorrow from 7 p.m. to discuss the issue and other matters pertaining to employment and other developments on the island.
Like trying to reach the government and the investors to meet with us, or things like that. We'll be discussing work situation on the island, because we have seen a situation where now a Bajan company has taken over a subcontract from CCA, and CCA is making the long-standing staff redundant. They're paying them off and so on. We see the Bajans coming to work, and Vincentians are going home. We've seen the Pink Sam Hotel open its doors for 3 months in the busy season and shut it for the next 9 months. Is this how we're doing business with billionaires? Is that what we're saying we should be mature about? That people can just give us 3 months work to serve them and after that it ends? Is this how we're talking about developing our country?
In other news, local journalist Conley Rose is calling for a legal reform in which young people are no longer prosecuted for the use of marijuana. Her speaking on last Sunday's Hit Talk program, Rose outlined the medicinal and other benefits of the marijuana plant, noting that it is less harmful than alcohol.
Specifically in relation to St. Vincent, because we take that scientific approach and let the scientists and the medical research determine it. Compassion, reason. In terms of saving lives, producing a pharmaceutical and therapeutic medicine that is saving lives, as Bishop said, we could give all the scientific research and so on that. So we're not stalling. It's not a question of whether people want it or not. Or America has done that, or Colorado, or Israel is doing this. St. Vincent is a producer nation. In the whole OECS, St. Vincent is the biggest or the largest producer of marijuana. We have the most experience. We probably have the most Vincentians in jails around the Caribbean. We probably have the most youth who have been killed in the mountain, buried and so on, persecuted and so on and so forth. So we want to look at the legal aspects of doing some form of legal reform. We don't criminalize youths. We're looking at questions of saving lives, AIDS patients, people with epilepsy and these serious debilitating diseases and so on, and that's it. We're looking at how the tourism could impact, like Jamaica, to make something the economy, and we're looking at the industry of marijuana. We're looking at the whole economics of marijuana.
A farmer, Hugh Stewart, however, had a different perspective, stating that instead of focusing on marijuana legalization, more needs to be done to revive the banana industry, adding that banana has done well for this country, yet the country has not done well for bananas. He added that the best move for SVG would be to focus once more on creating a profitable banana industry and other commodities that will not flood the market but attract more buyers and greater profits.
We are banning bananas. Bananas have been educated our children, and most of us around the table here will be involved in bananas one way or another. Some of us highly educated from bananas. But we seem to want to abandon it, to go into the commodity that all of us can produce. Somebody ever want to produce marijuana, come to ask me how to produce it. And if ever legalized, I can produce more marijuana per acre than anybody in St. Vincent and Grenadines. I've been to Jamaica a few times. Jamaica is deplorable. For years, we hear about marijuana being grown in Jamaica, and Jamaica is known for marijuana. What is deplorable? Conditioning people are bad. What are we going to do with it? Encourage people to grow marijuana to do what? Who is going to buy? Of course, some parts of Europe, marijuana is legalized. I think is in Holland and Spain legalized. We here must talk about it. No, Israel. They produce marijuana, yes, but not famous for marijuana production. They produce other commodities in larger scales where people are rich from.
The change in global context as it refers to marijuana usage will suggest the need for a more collective and cohesive approach to the subject of marijuana legalization. That's according to the Director of Trade, Cuthbert Knight, who also was a panelist on Sunday's Hit Talk program. Knight says that in his opinion, the issue of whether or not to legalize marijuana has to be addressed within the CARICOM framework, as has been already proposed, so as to iron out the issues surrounding the criminalities of marijuana.
As I said, I think this is the right direction to go. The opportunity is really good for us now, as opposed to what it may have been years ago. But I think this is an opportunity which we should, in a very logical, sensible, and intelligent way, try to ensure some dialogue or discussions on the possibility of medical marijuana. And that's the main focus that I'm looking at, medical marijuana. I don't think it's any secret, and it has been expounded around the table, that marijuana has medicinal properties. This has been seen in the United States, where some states now has actually decriminalized or either legalized marijuana for medical purpose. And I think too, CARICOM is also encouraging that sort of research. My call here is not for the legalization of marijuana in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but I'm saying the time is right for sensible dialogue and discussion.
Noting that there is no comparison between the issue of bananas and marijuana, Knight says there should be reasonable discussion, if not for any other purpose, but for the medicinal properties of the plant.
And I think, again, that this discussion should be a very unbiased one which is free from fear, emotional injections, subjective feelings and thoughts, because these are some of the things that come out when the topic of marijuana, even phobias when marijuana is being discussed. I think that we have to look at institutions like UWI, even within the academia circle, pharmaceutical industry, all our professionals, economists, all of these are people that the wider civil society has to get involved in this debate. And as a result of that, it is my opinion also that there is the issue of decriminalization of marijuana in small quantities for personal use or for religious use.
And attorney at law Ronald Marks said that while it is true that bananas have lifted the quality of life for many Vincentians, aiding in the reduction of poverty and the alleviation of hunger here, to cling to the belief that bananas will return to its past glory in sustaining this country's economy is a pipe dream and will lead to the further demise of the economy. Marks says that it is time to move forward with a new solution to facilitate further development and growth of the economy, adding that the legal cultivation and trade of marijuana could be the solution.
You have plantations, right, in Latin America that you could pick up the whole of St. Vincent and put it on that plantation, and that is a fact in terms of square miles. Pick them up, but they have hospitals, schools. So the idea that we would be able to compete like how we used to before is a farce. It is not true. Bananas have changed completely, and if we're going to hold on to bananas for nostalgic reasons or for romantic reasons, our economy will not improve. But I'm speaking from a lawyer's point of view, from a legal point of view, with a little bit of maths in that. I read an article this morning where Bob Marley brand is now attached to some strains of marijuana. Those strains of marijuana sell for, to the maths, $50 for 3.5 grams, right? Average. Write down those figures. Now, if we use the police estimate here, which according to Arthur Williams is too high, right? Let me use the higher estimate. A gram of marijuana works out to a little over $1 and some cents. Easy.
A project which seeks to strengthen farmers' organization and improve fruit and vegetable production through technology will be launched here tomorrow. The project is a collaborative effort between the Technical Mission of the Republic of China on Taiwan to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Ministries of Agriculture and National Mobilization. It aims to empower support systems for techniques to be promoted at the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as to strengthen the ministry's technical extension divisions in the operation or technology and supplementary software and hardware equipment. A presentation of the cooperation project will be done by Chief Project Manager of the Taiwan's Technical Mission, Chen Young Lee, with brief remarks by the Ambassador of the Republic of China on Taiwan to SVG, His Excellency Bashan Zhao, Minister of Agriculture Suboto Caesar, and Minister of National Mobilization Frederick Stevenson. The launching event will commence at 9:30 at the Methodist Church Hall. The technical coordinator of the United Nations Development Program for Barbados and the OECS, Marlon Clark, believes that a national element to the implementation of an early warning system is necessary for its success. Clark was speaking at the opening of a workshop yesterday at the National Emergency Management Organization's conference room on the strengthening of resilience and coping capacity of St. Vincent and the Grenadines through an integrated early warning system. Clark added there is a need for more consultations with communities and stakeholders in relation to the implementation of early warning systems.
To engage the community and national stakeholders a little more. What normally happens, and I think UNDP can be guilty of this to some extent as well, is that we have meetings at the beginning process. We gather all the information relating to recommendations, but then we don't continuously engage the community members as aggressively and national stakeholders as aggressively as we should. So I think we have to do a little more outreach relating to that. We also have to do a little more emphasis on the point that although they have national level emergency warning systems, there's a lot that the community can do relating to warning. Something as simple as seeing the river level, river flooding level increasing, and they can then take the necessary actions based on decisions they have made nationally and at the community level in terms of progressing.
The UNDP's representative said discussions are being held in various communities with relevant stakeholders to determine which form of technology is best suited for St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Started anything, we wanted to see what stage the island was at relating to early warning in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the capacity to undertake what we plan to do in the initiative. We would have also talked about the process relating to having the radio data system in place, formerly called the RDS. We would have had a number of community level meetings and national level meetings discussing the pros and cons of all the warning dissemination technologies. So email pop-up is one, SMS is a warning dissemination technology that can be used. Radio data service is one, as well as the radio interrupt. So we would have outlined how we got to the stage where St. Vincent would have recommended the radio data service as well as the radio interrupt warning dissemination technology as part of their emergency warnings.
The team Me, You, We, a shared vision for a better society is all about being strong and understanding that one's self-esteem, self-image and self-confidence is what take a person to where he or she wants to go. And that's according to guest speaker Dr. Kenneth Uno in his remarks at the launch of the St. Vincent Grammar School Young Leaders Project on Monday. Noting that difficult is a description of easy things that take a lot of steps to perform. Dr. Ono shared some important tips with the student, which he said would aid in their ability to bounce back from difficult situations. He also noted that the way someone thinks can cause the problems they encounter.
So whenever you're there frustrated, it has to be your thoughts. And it was Albert Einstein who said insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. So your thoughts are causing your problems. You want to stop staring at brick walls. Because when you're frustrated, when you're angry, we're talking about the thoughts and the behaviors, you're staring at a brick wall. And of course, you want to try to accept what is. It is as it is. It just is. You broke a plate, it is. You didn't do well in school, it is. It doesn't mean that you cannot get better. It just is as it is. The past is in your mind. Is that correct? And the future is in your mind too. Some of you think the future is not in your mind, but it's in your mind. So both of them are just figments of your imagination. We tend to worry or regret things that have happened in the past, and then we worry about things that are about to happen in the future, right? So we're not doing so well in school today. Does that mean we're bad? No. All it means is that who we were yesterday is the result of what we are now.
Noting that this year's theme, Know Yourself, Know Your Worth, President of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Grammar School 2016 Young Leaders Group, Shane Cadogan, said their project focuses on bringing solutions to some of the daily challenges faced by students, the homeless and physically challenged, as well as senior citizens.
In our journey through life, we need to know the things that matter to us. In getting to know ourselves and our worth, we also get to know about our duty to our fellow men. When we learn this, the me will include the you, and together we'll become we. If we make the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself, our signpost, it will point us to the right path, and we will be guaranteed a life that will bring out the best, not only in ourselves, but also in those who we will attempt to guide and lead.
Commending the development of students through the RBC Young Leaders Program, headmaster of the school, Curtis King, urged the students not to see their participation as limited, as they must strive to leave an impact and ensure the project continues after they have left the institution.
A lot would be expected of you, not just from the school, but from the entire community. So I want you to take this project very seriously. And I want you to ensure that your participation is not nominal, but that such participation would have enabled you to develop or further develop those skills that you possess, especially in leadership and teamwork. Last year we looked at technology. We had our young leaders embark on the fulfillment of promises that they had made. So those things have happened after the 2015 Young Leaders Project. And that is the continuity I'm talking about. Don't just see your participation as being this narrow or limited period, but leave something and ensure that the project continues.
A new Catholic bishop for the Kingston arrived in the state yesterday and is expected to be ordained on Saturday, February 20th at a ceremony to be held at the SVG Community College. The bishop-elect, Gerard Conti, who is a Trinidadian by birth, was ordained as a priest in 1996, and after his ordination he was sent to the Spiritan Mission in Mexico, where he served for the past 19 years in a number of ministries with the congregation. A media release states that the bishop-elect is all about inclusion and that he intends to find creative ways to reach out to the Vincentian society. The release further stated that the bishop is of the view that his upcoming ordination is about the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Vincentian should see the event not as just for Catholics but for everyone. The ordination ceremony at the community college next Saturday is expected to begin at 9 in the morning.